Banks, how will you know when I'm about to switch to? Okay. And hi everyone. I'm Damilala from the integrations team at Paystack. We should be starting the event in a minute or two. Let's just see it. Let's just see if more people will join before we go ahead to start the event. So I'll give it about maybe 1 minute, 2 minutes, after which we can start the event. Kindly bear with us. Okay, I guess we'll just start right now. Hi everyone, my name is Damilola, a technical product specialist at Paystack. And in this session, I'll be showing you how to enable and make use of Apple Pay on your custom website. But before going further, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. So if you notice towards the right-hand side of your screen, you will see a section for chats, and you also see a section for questions. Kindly introduce yourself in the chat tab and make use of the question tab if you have any questions, during which our moderators will respond to you during the course of the session or at the end of the session. Okay, so we can begin the session now. Today we'll be discussing how to integrate Apple Pay into your custom application. Apple Pay is a mobile payment and digital wallet service by Apple, which enables frictionless payments that allows customers to authorize payments with their Touch ID or Face ID instead of making use of manual long forms. With Apple Pay on Paystack, Nigerian businesses can accept international payments quickly and securely from millions of Apple Pay users. So we'll be diving into the session by introducing my moderators. So on the call with me here is John Ayeni. John Ayeni is a front-end engineer that worked on the Apple Pay project, so he'll be able to provide more context on the front-end part of the Apple Pay integration. And I also have Arinze with me here. Arinze is a backend engineer that also worked on the Apple Pay, so he will also be able to shed more light on the backend aspect of things. Okay, now to the session. Our agenda is quite simple today. The first thing is we're going to be discussing how to activate Apple Pay. We'll be discussing how to make use of Apple Pay on storefront and your redirect integration method. That's when you make use of the Paystack transaction initialize method. We'll also be talking about domain verification and Apple Pay on pop-up. So for the first two items, the second and third item is specific to Apple Pay on the checkout loaded by Paystack, while the other two is for custom applications specifically. So without further ado, let's dive in. So to activate Apple Pay, we'll be going to our dashboard to enable it. So the first thing to do is to go to the Paystack dashboard. Log into your Paystack dashboard, click on the settings on the menu side, on the menu item, on the menu tab, sorry, then go to the preferences page. So on my page, you can see the payment channels available to my business. This business is a Nigerian business, so these are the payment options available. And down here, we can see Apple Pay. So in order to activate Apple Pay, the first thing you need to do is to click on the Apple Pay checkbox. So the moment you click on the Apple Pay checkbox, it brings this modal to accept Apple Pay terms and condition. On enabling, you just click on the enable Apple Pay button, and yep, and you're greeted with this modal that shows that Apple Pay has been successfully activated on your integration. So if you click on the continue button, it takes you to our documentation, which shows you how to set up Apple Pay specifically for custom application. I'll be talking about this during the session, so I'll just go back to my dashboard to close this. One more thing you should take note of is you'll see this Apple Pay tab that has now been added to the dashboard. We'll be discussing this also later in the session. So with this, the next thing to do is, okay, Apple Pay has been activated. What can I then do with Apple Pay? So for people that make use of our commerce tool, which include payments pages, the products, storefronts, and invoices, you can now start making use of Apple Pay. And to do this, I'm going to be going to my custom storefront here, which is a simple page that has two products, which is a Max and a money clip. So now I'm going to switch to my phone in order to go along with the process to complete a payment. So I'll click on money clip. I'm going to add this to bag. Okay, sorry about that. I think I'll just go back a bit. I should have switched my screen. Okay, so reloading the page again. So this is my storefront. So I'm going to click on money clip, then try to add it to bag. I think my finger is quite small, big. Then checkout. Okay, so I'll just add my details. Dummy, demo, dummy at demo.com. Demo.com. So add a mobile number 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 and review and pay. Okay, now you can see that on my screen, a pop-up comes up for, there are two buttons available now. One is pay with Apple Pay and the other one is more payment option. So since this discussion is particular to Apple Pay, I'm going to complete a payment, making use of pay with Apple Pay. So if your user is not on a Apple supported device, they'll simply see a make payment button that just shows the pop-up. But for Apple supported devices such as an iPhone, iWatch, the watch, and your Safari browser, they will see this pay with Apple Pay as an additional button that will be added. So I'm going to click pay with Apple Pay. Okay, so it asks me to make use of my Touch ID to complete payment, which I'm going to do now. So payment is currently processed and it's done. So you can see how easy and seamless it is to accept payment with Apple Pay. It's just a matter of your Touch ID or your Face ID. So having done this, the next thing to do is the redirect method. So because Apple Pay is being loaded from Paystack's domain, we already have access to Apple Pay on our storefront and redirect method. So I'm going to be doing a quick demo for the checkout method also. I'm going to share my Postman screen. Okay, Postman. And then switch to it. Okay. All right. So on Postman, this is just brief because it's just a simple API call, then you load the checkout. So I'm going to send a request to initialize payment. So my body contains demo@email.com, 100 Naira NGN. So I click on send. So this generates a payment link. So I'm going to copy that payment link and also add it to my, I'm going to load it on my phone to show you how Apple Pay is going to, how Apple Pay works on the redirect method. So new tab. Sorry about that again. New tab, pastes. Okay, so I'm going to paste the checkout link and then go. Okay, so because I have Apple Pay already activated, so whenever you are making use of the redirect method basically means you are making use of the transaction initialize endpoint, automatically you already have access to Apple Pay if your business are already activated, if your integration has Apple Pay enabled on it. So you can see pay with Apple Pay on this again, and you also have more payment option. Before now, what we just load up is the checkout form at the back. I won't be completing the payment on this, but it's just to show you what you can do immediately. You have Apple Pay activated on your integration. So what have we done so far? So the first thing is we went to our Paystack dashboard and we went to the preferences section on the settings page. We checked the Apple Pay box in order to activate Apple Pay. We accepted the terms and condition, and we are able to test a payment with the storefront and also redirect method to show you how Apple Pay works. So what exactly happened between the phase of activating Apple Pay and making use of it in storefront? So what happens is to accept payments with Apple Pay, Apple allows you to add, Apple makes you add a domain verification file to your server. So whichever domain name is serving the checkout to make payments, Apple requires you to add a verification file to it. So Apple is going to check your server files that, oh, does this verification file exist? So if it exists, they're going to go ahead to process the payment. If it doesn't exist, Apple cannot process that payment. So what happened here is that the reason why we're able to do storefront and redirect is because the checkout and Apple Pay is being loaded from Paystack's server. So Paystack already has done a domain verification, which allows us which allows Apple to process payments, Apple Pay payment through us. So for people building custom applications, so you have a application that uses our inline JS, you will need to do this domain verification yourself, which leads me to our next point. So domain verification. So domain verification is a simple process. Basically, what you just have to do is you download a particular file from your Paystack dashboard, you add your URL, and after adding this URL, you add that downloaded file to your application's root directory. With this, you upload the file. After adding this file to your your root directory, the next thing is you deploy your application, and Apple Pay should work seamlessly for you. So this process is going to be explained with a sample application. So domain verification, I'm going to share my sample application screen. So I'm going to use a simple application, a front-end application, basically, which is my VS Code. Okay. So here's a simple application. I think the first thing is, let me show you what the application looks like first. Let's show you what the application looks like. Okay. All right. So this is the application we're going to be making use of to test Apple Pay. So we can see that we have just an item that has a make payments button. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a method to allow Apple Pay also, so I'm going to do a domain verification first. After doing domain verification, we can then add Apple Pay as a payment option on our sample application. So I'm going to go back to, my desktop first. On my desktop, I'm going to go back to the dashboard. Okay. So on the dashboard, we are going to go back to our Apple Pay tab. So remember I said we're going to come back to Apple Pay tab later. So when you click on this Apple Pay tab on the dashboard, sorry, not desktop, on the dashboard, you're going to see, okay, let me remove this. So we're going to see a page like this, which shows web domains. So, and with the remark, no verified domain yet. So every domain that is going to serve Apple Pay, like if your custom application, so if you have, say, a custom application on the URL company.com, you need to add this company.com to this page. So the first thing to do is to click on add new domain. So whatever your application is, I already deployed this application on this URL. It's deployed on Netlify, and this is the URL. So I'm going to copy this URL, and I'm going to bring it back to my desktop. So you need to add this first. So please ensure you remove the protocol, and you also remove any trailing slash. So just make use of the plain URL without the protocol and a trailing slash. So having done that, you're going to get a prompt like on this last step saying this is where you should host this domain verification file, which we are going to download now. So we're going to click on the download verification file. Yes, and this has been downloaded. So this verification file is going to be used in our next step. Like this is the verification file we're going to add into our server's root directory in this folder called .wellknown. So we're going to create a .wellknown folder in our server, in the root directory of our server. Then we're going to add this downloaded file into that server. So going back to my VS Code. Okay. Yeah. All right. So on my VS Code, the first thing is I have this basic HTML file and I have this JavaScript file. So in order to use your Apple Pay, the first thing is you need to add the inline JS version 2. So some people might probably be on the version 1 of the inline JS. So in order to make this work, you need to migrate to version 2 of the inline JS. We have a migration guide from V1 to V2. You can simply make use of that guide to migrate from a version 1 of our inline JS to version 2. So there are two methods to add Apple Pay to a custom application. The first one is to make use of the first one is to mount a payment request button, and the second method is to make use of a pre checkout modal. So making use of the payments, we are going to try out both. So the first one is the mounting a payment request button. So to mount a payment request button, the first thing you need to do is to come into your HTML file and you add a container that is going to host the Apple Pay button first, and you also add a button that is going to be used to load other payment option. So when you do this, you can then come into your JavaScript file, load the pay stack pop-up. So remember, you've added this already to the script. Now you need to initialize the pay stack pop-up. So initialize it by creating a new instance of it. Now we're going to make use of the payment request method in the pay stack pop-up. With the payment request method, we're going to be passing in our key. My key has been initialized at the top of my file. We're going to add our email. We're going to add an amount, currency. Now, these are the two main parts we need: the container and load paystack checkout button. So this container is the div tag you added in your HTML, which is this. So you need to ensure it's this ID of the div you are adding into this container. The next thing is the payments, the button for more options. So this is going to be added into the load paystack checkout button. So what this does is this is going to undo the other payment option. This is going to undo the Apple Pay button. So you add this, then you can also style your Apple Pay button. So you can choose your theme if it's light or dark, then add in an Apple Pay object that takes in margin, padding, width, border radius, the type, and the locale. So the type allows you to change the text on the Apple Pay button. You can't add a custom text. So there are different types that on the documentation, you can go to this URL. This comment is also on the documentation. You can go to this URL to see the different types you can add. There's pay, there's buy, there's book, and things like that. So that determines what is going to be on the Apple Pay button. So once you do this, the next thing is just listen to the call outs, to the callbacks. So we have the on success, we have the on error, we have the on cancel, and on element mount. So on element mount is specific to Apple Pay or any wallet we're going to have. So on elements is to check if Apple Pay is allowed on that device. So if Apple Pay is allowed on this device, you're going to get true from this element. And if Apple Pay is not allowed, you're going to get false. An object. This is going to be the object you're going to get. So this is for mounting payment request button. So the payment request button allows you to add that Apple Pay button on your site alongside other payments, the other methods. So having done this, I'm going to go back to my application and we're going to test this out. Okay, sorry about that domain verification file. So for the domain verification file, like I said, so you need to create a .wellknown folder in your application's domain, your application's root directory. So in case some people might have like different folders, say public, controllers, and things like that, please don't add it there. You need to add it into the root directory of the application. So I already created my .wellknown folder. Then I added my domain verification ahead of time into this application, into this folder. So when Apple Pay is about to check for if your domain is verified, they're going to call your URL /.wellknown, then /this file. Please, you should also ensure you are serving this file as text. So as text, it should show up as this and not as a content type of application /text, not any other form of content type. That if you use any other content type, it might lead to failure when trying to make payments. So you serve it as text, and please ensure you don't rename the Please ensure you don't rename the file name. So it should be Apple-Developer Merchant ID Domain Association. Okay, so having done this, I'm going to go back to my application and refresh to test the application. So going back to my browser, a Safari browser. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So on Safari, we're going to refresh my page now. And yes, so we can see that now we now have pay with Apple Pay, and we can now see we have more payment option. I'm going to be doing this on the phone, but for now, I just want to explain what's going on here. So if you click on the more payment options, you're going to get the checkout. And if you click on pay with Apple Pay, you're going to get that Apple Pay pop up to confirm your payment. So one thing I was saying about the text is this. So you can see we have pay with Apple Pay. So you can customize, you can change that text to something else by using the that link I said. Mention the link. You can go to that link and check out the different ones. You can have, maybe if you are probably selling books, you can have maybe buy a book or something. There are different options that can be available here. So I'm going to switch back to my phone and show you how this works. So new tab, and I'm going to refresh the page. Okay, so I now have my pay with Apple Pay. I'm going to click on this, and again, it's showing it's still trying to process it. So during this processing period is when the domain verification is being done on your server to ensure that everything is right. So let's hope this works fine. It's taking a while to process. Let me refresh the page. Okay, let me refresh the page. I think it's serving a cached version. So, okay, so pay with Apple Pay. Man, I hope the demo day issue doesn't happen again. Processing. Man, something seems to be wrong. So I'm just going to switch to the other option. I don't know why that's happening. Probably it's my card. So I'm going to switch to the next payment option. But ideally, once you get to that page, it should show you the ability to just put your fingerprint. So I'm going to switch back to the other option to which is the checkout, pre-modal checkout. So I'm going to go back to my VS Code. Okay, so now we're going to do the second option. So the second option requires you to just add a single payment button. So when you add that single payment button on Paystack's end, we're going to check if your account is your Paystack integration already has Apple Pay enabled. If it has Apple Pay enabled, we're going to bring up a pre-modal checkout. Basically, this contains that button, the Apple Pay button, and another button. So basically, what you just did in the previous one, we are just going to add a single button in this case, and it's going to bring up those two buttons in our end. So I'm going to uncomment this out. I'm going to comment this out and uncomment this. Okay, then I'm going to go to I'm going to comment this method out also. Okay, so comment this out. So now I'm going to uncomment method 2. Yep. So the same thing applies in this one, but you're going to use a different method. So in this case, you're going to make use of the paystack.checkout method, just passing your key, passing the email, passing the amount, and you can just add your callbacks. This is quite easy for a lot of people to do. So just add, it's still the basic items that you use in your inline JS. It's just a different method. So I'm going to commit this and redeploy. So redeploy, it's add. Pre-modal checkouts. And then I'm going to push this. Okay, so I'm going to push this. Yep. And I'm going to go to my browser to ensure this has been deployed. So I'm deploying on Netlify. I'm going to see quickly if it has deployed. Oh, now I see the issue. Apologies for that. So I'm going to go back to my browser now. I see what I've done wrong, which is quite good. So I forgot to go back to my browser to click on verified domain. So this is going to be like something that a lot of people might also do. So when I added this my URL, I downloaded the verification file, but I forgot to come back to the verified domain. So now you just click on the verified domain in order to verify this domain. Okay, so it's going to take a while to verify the domain. And yes, you should get this screen that your domain has been verified. If your domain if your .well-known folder has not been added into the right the root directory of your server, and the domain verification file hasn't been added into that file, you're going to get an error here. So now that this has been verified, I can now see my URL here as a list of domain names that I can accept Apple Pay on. So I'm going to go to my Netlify page quickly to see if this has been deployed. And the second payment should work. Ideally, should have deployed because it's a light application. So I'm just going to, okay. Yep, so it has been deployed. So I'm going to go back to my phone screen. I'm going to show you how this works. So back to the phone screen. Okay, so I'm going to refresh this page. Boom. So you can see that this one, I'm just having like a make payments button. So I'm going to click on make payments. And you can see this is what a pre-modal checkout basically means. So it means it's going to bring out like a new what's it called, pop-up or modal that has the Apple Pay button and also more payment option button. So I'm going to click on Apple Pay button now. And yep, so you can see now that I now have pay with your Touch ID. So processing payments, and it's done. So yeah, so my reference was shown to me, and now I'm going to close this. So far, what have we done? So let's have a quick recap. Bringing up my slide. So far, we've been able to do verify our domain, and we've been able to, first thing is we ensured we added our domain without the protocol and the trailing slash. We ensured we created our well-known folder in our root directory on our server. We added our domain verification file into that well-known folder, and we ensured we maintained the original name of the folder. We also added a domain verification. We also ensured our domain verification file is being served as application text. And the part where I forgot to verify my domain, please ensure that you add this. You go back to your dashboard after adding this domain verification file to your server. Make sure you go back to your dashboard to click on the verified domain and ensure you get that confirmation screen in order to ensure you've successfully done this. Yep. And so far, I also showed how to mount a payment request button. I showed how to use a pre-modal checkout modal and to complete a payment. That's basically it when it comes to setting up Apple Pay on your custom application, how to custom application, and how to use Apple Pay on the redirect and on any commerce tools we have on Paystack. All right. So to our Q&A session. I'm going to be going to the session tab to see if we have questions, and if we have questions, I'm going to be answering them here. Okay. So the first question is from Gerard Olumide. Please, if you have questions, kindly drop it in the Q&A session in the question tab, so I can respond to them. Or if you need anything you need clarification on, also drop it in the question tab so I can respond to it, or my moderators, the moderators can respond to it. So the first one is, I missed something. Please, where will I get the value for the domain thing in the .well-known folder? Where will I get the value? So I'm not sure the question, I understand the question, but if you're talking about how to get your domain verification file, you just need to go to the Apple Pay dashboard. You need to go to the Paystack dashboard. I'm going to go back to the dashboard now. So go to your Paystack dashboard. When Apple Pay is activated, you're going to get this Apple Pay screen. Apple Pay tab. So you click on the Apple Pay tab, you click on add new domain. You add your domain into this input field, then you download the verification file. So once you download that verification file, you can then go to your application, create a .well-known folder in the root directory of your application, then add this file that you downloaded there, and ensure you click on the verified domain. I hope that answers your question, Gerard Olumide. So to the next question, how does this work on stores running on Shopify though, since we can't edit the checkout page? Okay, so my colleague has answered that question, and basically, some of our plugins make use of the redirect method. So for those plugins that make use of the redirect method, you can easily use this on those plugins. So Shopify is one of them. So for the ones that currently don't, some plugins don't support Apple Pay currently, we are already working on that. So those ones, we are going to work on them and deploy them. But for Shopify, you are good to go. So this question is from Temi Bat. So I hope that answers your question. Okay. Do we have any other question? Has everybody set up can everybody now set up their Apple Pay? This is going to be a good chance, because with this, you can easily quickly set up your Apple Pay and get it over with. While we are during this session, we can easily set it up and get it over with. So if you have any issue, you can ask now. Or if you're not ready to set it up, we can, when you're setting it up later, maybe after the session, you can just send us an email to support@paystack.com. That's the end of the session. I hope with this webinar, you can now successfully set up Apple Pay. You can now successfully set up Apple Pay on your Paystack integration. Like I said, if you have any questions, please shoot an email to support@paystack.com. And I guess that will be all. Okay, so I'll be ending the session now. Okay. Do you see have any other question? Okay. Okay.